This episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the newest episode of the Believe in Oregon podcast. I'm Zachary, Neel. He's Jonathan Stewart. Jay Stu, what's up, man? How we doing?
I'm good. Just basically sped here to my office because my daughter had track practice tonight, and I'm teaching her that you have to do hard things.
Yeah.
And you know, running track is not something that the ordinary 8-year-old is just doing these days. And so I think just with where this society is going,
we're getting this talk, huh?
Yeah, look, I'm not really with this whole soft teaching. Like,
yeah,
we have to build some callous within our kids. Even I feel like earlier, not like crazy, but like, hey, this is what it feels like for your legs to be sore.
Yeah,
and you're gonna feel good about working through it. Mm-hmm. So the empowerment is really, the teachings I think right now at this age with track. But also just the mechanics, right? They're developing, they're growing, and it's the perfect time for them to learn how to run the right way. Because I think about myself as a professional athlete, I didn't learn how to run the right way until I got to high school.
Yeah.
And I think, developmentally, it would have served me even better. As I went on about my sports and all of those types of things.
It's interesting you mentioned that because we'll talk a little bit about it. I was at the Oregon Pro Day earlier today, and we were talking to, offensive lineman Josh Connolly afterwards, Marcus Harper afterwards, and, talking to Connolly about what's been the most different thing about this like pre-draft process. And he's like, it's been kind of weird, like trying to learn how to become a sprinter, like so he could run the 40-yard dash. It's like, yeah, that is weird because when will an offensive lineman ever have to run 40 yards straight? And it's like now that, the combine and the pro day is over, you can kind of go back to like focusing on what an offensive lineman has to do. But, it is those things that I'm sure it wasn't bad for him to like learn those mechanics. It probably helped in some way, but I just thought that was kind of an interesting perspective on it.
I mean, he's totally right. They're not running 40 yards unless it's to the end zone to celebrate a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. And then he doesn't have to sprint. I mean, he can hustle a little bit, but he doesn't have to sprint.
A little bit. I do recall though, Ryan Khalil, my center, Panther all-time great, and in my opinion, he's at least top 5 center of all time. Mm-hmm. But I recall we played the New York Football Giants, the last game of the Meadowlands, of that stadium, and I had like 200 plus yards rushing. And one of the last runs I had, I was gassed. And Ryan Khalil, like 30 yards down the field, just sprinting past me, my center, which just kind of speaks to his athleticism. But that can be the only time that I can recall an offensive lineman sprinting 40 yards down the field.
Sprinting, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we were off last week, but there was no way that we were going to miss getting an episode in this week because, Jay Stu, March Madness is finally here, and the Ducks are dancing.
They're dancing.
The Ducks are dancing.
We were timid there for a little bit, weren't we?
The next note on my sheet I have written out, I think that we deserve some credit because I think we did a really good job of knowing our place this spring.
Yeah, we did not talk about them.
Well, we talked about them once, and then they went on to lose 6 of their next 7 games. And so we're like, all right, we're done. And then they, we stayed away. But now that the NCAA tournament's here, we quite literally have to do our jobs and talk about them. So if this is another curse, I'm sorry to everyone listening, but we got to talk about it.
Yeah, if we're the reason why Oregon loses, then we might need to go into another field, such as talking
Good.
about things that we want changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe politics. Maybe we get into politics and start going down
Whoa.
that road. I know, right? Yeah.
We know
Um,
better.
yeah, we know better. So Oregon got the number 5 seed in the East Regional, where they will play against number 12 seed Liberty up in Seattle on Friday. I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark here, with all due respect, and say that I assume you probably are not well versed in Liberty basketball. Is that a safe assumption?
I know they can play. I know they play good defense.
Yeah, they got good defense.
They got a
Definitely have
good
good defense.
defense. They got a couple shooters out there. They can make. They can make some shots.
Absolutely. Okay, you know more than
But
I thought.
I feel like they're a shooting team, right?
Yes,
They're not
they were a
really.
very
They're
good
not
shooting
going
team.
in. They're not trying to go into the paint.
Yep.
And I think that's the reason why they're a good defensive team, because they're not in the paint.
Yeah. Well, I did not give you enough credit. That's more than I thought you would know about this team, for sure.
Hey man, hey, when it comes to March Madness,
okay, yeah,
I got
I'll
these
give you more
brackets,
credit.
man. I gotta make sure.
Yeah.
I gotta make sure I know what's going on. So
Yeah.
when it comes down to it, I don't need to know all of collegiate sports. I just got to know the teams that are in my bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if it were not for my day job at Duckswire, I can't say I would know much about Liberty at all. But since I have to, at least have a little bit of information about them for my job, I figure that I can use that today, and we can kind of figure out
who's their star player.
Their star player. Let's see. I've got it written down here. They're led by, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Tayon Peter and Caden Metheny, who both average over 13 points per game. They're good shooters. Basically, just to go into it, Liberty, they won their way into the tournament. They weren't a team that, had like a great record all season long against top teams. They won Conference USA. They got hot at the end of the year. And they got one of the automatic bids. So, they were, like you said earlier, they're a really good shooting team. They were 39% from 3 this year, which is 6th best in the nation. So, like,
that's really good.
Really good shooting team. Also a really good defensive team. They're 25-0 this year when they hold their opponents to under 70 points, which, that's pretty impressive. So, like I said, led by Tayon Peter and Caden Metheny. Sorry if I'm pronouncing either of those names wrong. After having mentioned that, the first key to the game for me for Oregon is going to be limiting the outside shots. I think that's, the number one thing you have to do. This is a really good shooting team. They don't like to get into the paint. They like to, keep it spread outside. They knock down shots at a high rate. So extend your defense out to the line, try and contest as much as possible. I think if Oregon can do that and do that successfully, you're in a really good spot.
Well, that's a good That's a good keys to victory. Make them beat you in the paint, right?
Exactly.
That's what the commentators would say.
Yeah, that's where Oregon really, really has an advantage with its size. Liberty's biggest player is 6'8", 230 pounds. Oregon has four contributors, like consistent contributors, who are bigger than that, led by obviously Nate Biddle, who is one of the best big men in the nation, having really incredible season. So I think that the size is going to be really big for Oregon in this game. That's my second key to the game is, use that size, pound the ball in the paint, get Biddle, get Kwame, get Brandon Angel touches, hit the boards hard, and just, try and make this, more of a physical type game. Don't let them just stand outside and shoot. You're going to need to make this physical.
Yeah. Yeah, just throw your hands up basically and contest every shot. But absolutely, I think ball movement on offense would probably be number one priority, right? So that way you can actually drain out the clock on the guys that want to shoot against you.
Yeah. In football, like when you're talking about...
I sound like a basketball coach.
Yeah, you do. You're good at that. In football, when you just kind of want to like run the ball a lot and just keep that clock moving and just ground it out, like that's the type of game that I think that Oregon needs to play in this. Like you don't want to make this a high possession game.
Yeah, we don't want to go trading bombs for bombs, right?
Yeah.
Hail Marys for Hail Marys, post for post.
Yeah. And not to get into predictions just yet, but one thing that Oregon does have in its favor here, I think, is momentum and rest. Before Oregon's lost to Michigan State in the Big Ten tournament last Friday, I believe it was, Oregon won 8 straight games, so they were playing really well. They also have not played since that Friday when Liberty played on Saturday night in the Conference USA Championship game. Oregon also has to travel only about 200 miles up north to Seattle, where Liberty has almost 3,000 miles to travel from Virginia. So I think that rest is really going to be key for Oregon here. And that if they can carry that momentum forward, I think they're in a really good spot.
Yeah, that's well said. I think when I watched them lose, I was like, oh, man. But then I was like, oh, wait a minute. They ain't got to play for the next couple of days. They need those legs if they want to win anything. It's a long couple of weeks ahead of them. So, so kudos to them getting number 5 spot. That's what happens when you are in that spot. You get to play a team that you should absolutely destroy. Let's just call it what it is. You should absolutely destroy this team because you're bigger than them, and the stage is too big for Liberty. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the Ducks definitely have more talent. They've got more experience. If I'm going to be honest, I think they have better coaching. I mean, Dana Altman has never lost a first-round game in the tournament with the Ducks. They just have to play their game. It feels like, at times this year they've gotten out of rhythm. We've seen like long scoring droughts on offense where that's, they're just taking bad shots. They're not getting enough ball movement, like you said. Jackson Shellstad, I think, is going to be really big in this game just because he seems like one of those players that's Peyton Pritchard-esque where like when the moment gets big, he can be really good. But sometimes when he gets off, it's a long slump for him. So he's been playing pretty well recently. I know he struggled a little bit in the Big Ten tournament, but I think that, like I said earlier, they need to continue to pound the rock, make this a low scoring rock fight type of game. And I don't think they should have much trouble with Liberty.
Yeah. Fist fight. Throw them out the club.
Yeah. I've got Oregon 67, Liberty 55 in this game. Any ideas for you?
I oddly think it's going to be closer than that, just from the standpoint that they might get uncharacteristic and try to match Liberty for shots, which is what young men like to do. Like, pride is the devil. Leave that thing alone. They'll learn late, and coach going to get on them and make sure that they do what they're supposed to be doing. I think we're going to see a 58-55 game.
Wow. You think it's going to be really close? Okay. Yeah. I hope you're wrong. I don't want that stress in round one.
I don't want that stress.
There's going to be more stress down the road.
I mean, especially, coming off of the gate, off the couch, they've been resting. It's going to take them a while to get, the rust off because it is rust a little bit because you have a couple days off. So I think that's to be expected. And I think, eventually they'll realize who's the better team.
Yeah. Well, should Oregon win, they would play either Arizona or Akron on Sunday. They also have Duke, Alabama, and Wisconsin in their bracket as well. Let's just open it up a little bit. How far do you think this Oregon team can go? You said you like your brackets. How far do you think you have them going?
I have them beating Arizona.
I do as well.
And then I have them losing to Duke.
See, that's the thing. Part of me really wants to put them beating Duke in that Sweet 16 just because I don't know, the Cooper Flag injury. We'll see. I like to believe that since Duke is not at full strength potentially without the best player in the nation, maybe they could beat him. Maybe Oregon can get hot. We've seen this team. I mean, when this team's good, they're really good. But just got to see which team goes out there. But I think for sure they can win the first game. I think they probably can beat Arizona in that second game. I'm hopeful that they could beat Duke after that, but beyond that, I don't know. I don't think you're beating Alabama or Wisconsin again, although Oregon has beat both teams already this year.
Just know this. My bracket says one thing, but when I'm placing bets, I'm betting on Oregon.
Okay, we're betting on Oregon. Who do you have winning it all? What's your full bracket look like?
Man, to be honest, I struggle there Like I have Duke winning it all. But I haven't completed my bracket. My bracket still is not complete.
Yeah.
But I have Duke winning it all. But for some odd reason, Florida's just playing really good. Florida looks really good.
Yeah. I have
And
Florida
so,
winning it all currently. That's who I've got.
yeah, so Florida looks really good. Duke just seems like, man, y'all should be able to win at least. It's about time, you know.
Yeah.
Carolina schools, you know, everybody looks at Carolina as the basketball state. So, I think they might be able to do it. But
do you have
Florida looks really good.
Do you have a dark horse or anyone that you think is going to go further than other people are projecting?
I think UCLA's got a chance.
Okay.
UCLA, the last 5 years they've been to the dance 4 times. So I think having the exposure over the course of time, the experience there could favor, against who they are and just where they are in the bracket. With their 7, they play Tennessee in the second. If they beat Utah State and end up playing Tennessee, and they end up beating Tennessee, that could just
be a big win.
That could be a big win that just says, "Oh, we are really good," right?
Yeah.
And so, so having a 7 seed play a number 2 seed seems to be an opportunity. So,
I think I have UCLA losing in the first round, if I remember correctly.
yeah, to Utah State, huh?
I think I do. I think that's what I like quickly filled out my bracket. I've not done like all the research yet, but I'm pretty sure that's what I put down.
Yeah, they can't shoot for a doggone, but their defense is good enough. They're not in the middle of the pack on defense, you know? So I'm all for like teams that can play defense when it comes to
it's big in the tournament.
The March Madness deal, because and that's one of the reasons why Oregon, the bracket, like I'll bet on them because I love Oregon, but they don't play defense.
Yeah. It could stand to be better for sure. I think the team that I've got,
who do you got?
They're an underdog because of their seed, but I think they're way better than their seed. I think Gonzaga is going to go far in this. The fact that they're an 8 seed,
they're always being slated, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
I've got Gonzaga going like to the Final Four. I think
maybe that's on purpose where they're seated.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe it's on purpose. Maybe they want them to win this year.
Hey, it'd be something. I feel like they have not been a topic of conversation all year long. Granted, I don't pay that close of attention to college basketball, but I just feel like I've heard little to nothing about Gonzaga all year.
Yeah, watch some team like Drake.
Yeah,
Drake can shock the world.
Yeah, who knows?
Number 11 seed. They have a path. They play Texas Tech. They can beat Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And then they have Kansas and St. John's. St. John's, boy.
I think that'd be a fun story to watch St. John's do it.
Man, St. John's, they defense out of control.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So tell me about this pro day today. What's the news that comes out of Eugene, Oregon?
I think the biggest conversation or the biggest surprise was that Tez did not run his 40, which surprised me after his, he had a 4.51 at the combine, which, I think we can be honest, like was not impressive for him. Like someone at his size, someone who weighs 154 pounds, like you need to be fast, and not just fast, you need to be really fast. And he wasn't. So he didn't run the 40 today, which surprised me and a couple other people there. We talked to him about it afterwards, and he's like, hey, like my time is my time. Like if you don't think I'm fast, watch my tape. Like no one can cover me, no one can touch me. Like the 40 doesn't define you. The 40 just says like that you can run fast in a straight line. Like if you don't think that I'm fast, like watch what I do on the field. So I respect that, but I was still just surprised that he didn't run it. Maybe I mean, maybe he doesn't run faster than a 4.51. Maybe that is the best that he can do. And if it's true, that's fine. He's still really good on the football field. It's the weight that kind of concerns me more.
Yeah. I could tell you this. He does he be pulling away from people. And I think there was a next gen stat that was out there during the combine of him running 22 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was on a go route, post route, wherever he was at in that field. They clocked him at a 22 miles per hour guy. Mm-hmm. And that's really fast.
It's really
I
fast.
think it had to be probably the fastest time out there. Mm-hmm. And so we know he's fast. And some guys are just game speed fast, right? Like put a ball in my hand, give me a route to run where I have to be urgent. Mm-hmm. There's a legit that's a legit thing where guys run faster than what they actually are told to run on the beeline. There's a guy that I played with, Mike Goodson, faster with the ball in his hand. Jeremiah Johnson, faster with the ball in his hand. Like, you tell him to just run and race someone, he just runs different, right? But with the ball in his hand, different form, different everything. It's like golf, man. You know, you take your spine and you have a curve in your swing, just a little curve, you're going to miss that ball. But if you have that T-spine set up nice and angled and consistent, you'll hit it every time. And so there's different. I absolutely think that, you know, he made the right call. You didn't feel like running 40? Don't. And be confident in what your answer is too. And I think he displayed full confidence. And what else do you need to prove? If people want to know your 40 time, then that's up to them, you know.
Yeah.
Twist my arm.
The tape doesn't lie. I mean, he's played at a very high level of college football for a long time and, you know, played very, very well. So I like to see that for sure.
Yeah. And I think he's going to go to a team that's actually going to be a contender as well.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what team, like, I don't want to say takes a chance on him, but like does grab him in one of those middle rounds, because he needs to go somewhere where you've got a very established quarterback in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was also really cool to see. I mean, just guys like Justin Herbert were there, Bo Nix were there. It was kind of like a family affair today out there, like just rooting on their younger brothers in the pro day. It was just cool to see. Like, I like walked in, like I was in line to get in, like to go through the media stuff, and like I didn't even recognize that Herbert was like a couple people in front of me. He's just like very unassuming, just like scraggly beard. I saw him sitting over up by the wall, just like playing chess on his phone. Like during some of the workouts, it's like this guy, just something about him. He does not want any of the spotlight, any of the limelight. I just love it.
Yeah, man. That's what you call a generational talent.
Yeah,
you know, generational
that's what
mindset.
You want in your quarterback is
that's what you want in your quarterback.
He's not about the flash. He's just the work.
Yeah, he understands exactly what his job is, which is to lead teams to victory. So hopefully they can get it done in LA.
Yeah, I think they're close.
Close last year.
I think they're close. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, the pro day was fine. I don't know. It's I used to love the pro day as like a media member. I just thought it was like so much fun and all these things. And now over the past few years, it's starting to wear on me. It's like, this is a lot of standing around and just not sitting down for several hours on end. But
especially watching guys do stuff that they've already done, maybe at the combine or things that you know don't really matter. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, there's so much. We've become so resourced with film and watching film that a guy running around a cone is not going to determine to me whether or not he's a dog.
Yeah, it doesn't tell me much.
You're either a dog or you're a puppy.
It was a lot of fun to see.
Duck.
Yeah, there's some ducks out there today. It was fun to see. We got to see Kenyon Sadiq out there running routes for Dylan Gabriel. That boy looks good. He looks really good.
Hey,
I cannot wait to see him next year.
Probably came there they probably came to watch him.
Right? Yeah.
Shoot.
They might have. At least they got a good early preview.
They got a glimpse.
For sure. Yeah. They know they'll be coming back maybe next year after.
Right. It was nice knowing you, dog.
Yeah, right. Let's
have a good season next year.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that, let's wrap it up there. We're going to come back next week. We'll have some March Madness to talk about. We'll also continue our off-season talk as we ramp up towards the spring game. Jason, you got anything to add?
No, man. I think everybody should always carry themselves in a way that's basically like Tess Johnson. He's teaching us a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Stand on business. Stand on business.
Yeah.
I came here to run a 40 at the combine, and that's what I did. My 40 is my 40. Mm-hmm. But when I go out there on that field and strap that helmet on, I'm another animal.
Yep.
So all this stuff that you're talking about, testing this, testing that, I don't need to do the test. I'm here to play football.
Let the tape speak for itself. Tape doesn't lie.
Tape don't lie. Yep. So I really like his answer there. So let that resonate for the rest of 2025.
Absolutely. All right, you can check out more of my work at duckswire.usatoday.com. Follow me at Zachary C. Neel on Twitter. Follow Jay Stu on Twitter at JonathanStewR1, and make sure to check out the Believe in Panthers podcast and the Stu and Crew podcast. For myself, Zach Neel, for my co-host Jonathan Stewart, we will talk to you guys next week. Until then, take it easy.